Hey guys, how are you? Well, I hope so, because in today's educational video, I'm bringing you a summary of the anime Seikaiou no Isekai Tenseki. But before you start this video, please don't forget to like and comment anything to help this video engage. In this anime, everyone thinks our hero is a loser with no magical power, but he ends up being the strongest exorcist in the world. A long time ago, Seika was once the greatest exorcist in Japan. He transformed many ghosts and demons into his servants using his unparalleled mastery of the spiritual art. With his powerful servants, he faced all supernatural threats. However, the government feared his immense power, and so his students were taken hostage. And so, the strongest exorcist was defeated in an unfair fight. On his deathbed, Seika realized that he had spent his entire life trying to become the strongest, but that in the end he was defeated by corrupt rulers. He now intends to start his life over. But since the Isekai truck had not yet been created in this world, Seika removed his own life using a spell that would help him reincarnate into another body. Thus, he was reborn into a world of magic and monsters, thus receiving the name Seika, the third son of a noble family that is known for producing high-quality magician. He believes that he is his father's biological son, but this is not true, as he is the son of the younger brother of the head of the family who has already passed away. Only his uncle Robert, who is currently pretending to be his father, knows this, and Seika has no idea. When Seika turns 5 years old, Robert performs a ritual to determine his magical power, and discovers that he is just like the magical beggar, having no magical power at all in a world where magic is the source of many people's livelihood. He may have zero magical power, but he doesn't care at all, as he still commands the enormous spiritual power he had in his previous life. One day, he uses leaves as talismans, and transforms them into rats and crows to test his spiritual power. At that moment, his older brother Gray, the typical annoying brother who thinks he's superior, arrives to insult and intimidate him. And just as he is about to beat up Seika for no reason, he summons his crows to attack Gray, and his older brother Luft's team arrives to scare the crows away. Luft is suspicious of his younger brother, because Seika wasn't attacked by the crows, but he keeps his doubts to himself. As time goes on, Seika continues to work on his own to create paper so that he can create suitable paper dolls, which are the basis of his spells. His only friend in this house is a maid named Ifa, who always finds an excuse to come to him. Gray still pesters him, and he never forgets to show off his magical skills in front of his younger brother, whom he calls Magic Mindingo. He declares that since he has talent, unlike Seika, he will go to the Imperial Academy of Magic. But at that moment Robert arrives and takes him to a magic training class. Seika sees an opportunity and asks his father to participate in this training session, and despite his lack of magic, he is allowed to participate. Luft and Gray practice wind and fire magic on rock, and Gray teases Seika to try his luck because their father is watching. Seika doesn't want to show off his power, but he also doesn't want to be intimidated by his life, so he takes Gray's magic wand and uses his spiritual arts to manipulate the food around him, and fires a powerful ball of blue fire that surprises his brother and father. His father claims that there are cases where people born without magical power can use spells, and the color of the flames is just a property of an individual's power. Robert refuses Seika's request to learn magic, but grants him a private tutor who will help him with his general studies. Seika decides that learning more about this world will be better for him at the moment, so he studies hard and uses his paper dolls to spy on his brother's training. Years pass, and when Seika turns 11 years old, he decides to summon one of the many demons he had defeated and enslaved in his previous life. Since he sealed them away in a parallel dimension, he is confident that he can summon them in this world as well. For his first summon, Seika chooses the least threatening of his servants, Yuki, the mystical white fox. She appears in her human form, and immediately clings to Seika, saying that she has missed him very much, but he insists on checking if she is really Yuki, because she was a very beautiful woman in the past. The two realize that since her powers are not complete in this world, Yuki has been transformed into a girl with a humble body. Because of this, Seika wants to send her back, as he does not like women with small bodies. He explains to her that her summoning was just a test, but she is tired of living in the parallel dimension, and so she transforms into a fox to live by his side. After that, one day, Seika finds Gray trying to force Ifa to go to his bed at night, but he defends the girl, saying that she is his servant. Gray punches him, but Seika blocks his fist, forcing him to retreat. Ifa thanks Seika and asks him to go with her to help an injured monster cub that she found. When he gets there, Seika asks her to look the other way, claiming that he cannot concentrate while being watched. He then uses his spiritual arts to heal the cub's injury in an instant. Ifa praises Seika, but he says that she is also special, as he has always found her observing the soul souls of animals. Aoife is surprised to learn that he can see them too, and decides to tell him her secret. She claims that she can see elemental spirits that seem to be quite curious about Seika's things, but always avoid Seika, just as people avoid Indigo. Seika is surprised to hear this, and after confirming that Aoife can command spirits, he has a brilliant idea. He asks her if she is willing to learn magic, and when she says that she does not have enough magical power for it, he tells her of an alternative way. He summons a fire spirit and asks her to make it disappear, and after trying for several minutes, Aoife commands the fire spirit to disappear, and Seika realizes that she could be a great subordinate. He then helps her train, and over the months, she becomes better at controlling spirits. Soon, Seika turns 12 years old, but his father isn't even home for his birthday. Later, his brothers tell him to practice sword fighting with them, since his only career option is to join the army, since he can't be a lord or even a mage. Just then, two maids inform them that a giant monster is heading towards the mansion. Seika senses the monster before anyone else, and when the giant salamander monster appears, Gray pees his pants and runs away. Luffy takes control and orders everyone to take shelter. He does all this despite being terrified, but going against his brother's advice, Seika goes towards the monster, which is about to attack Aoife, and before Seika can help her, Aoife subconsciously commands a fire spirit to help her, which leaves Seika quite impressed. After that, he lures the monster to an open field, where he defeats it using a poison magic spell. Everyone starts clapping for him, and Seika greets them, realizing that everything went exactly as he planned. Robert arrives at the mansion at this moment, and offers Seika a luxurious dinner that night. As a celebration for him defeating that salamander, he asks Seika what he wants for his birthday, and Sokka asks that he be enrolled in the Imperial Academy of Magic. Despite the jealous Gray's resistance, his father allows Seika to take the entrance test. However, Seika has one more request, which is to take Aoife with him as his servant. Aoife panics, and even Robert says that she cannot go to the academy because she has no talent for magic, but Seika promises to prove him wrong and takes her to the window, where he asks her to use the spirits to create the biggest fireball she can. If she does not do this, she will not be able to go to the academy with him. Aoife really likes Seika and wants to go with him, so she uses the help of the fire spirits and throws a medium-level fireball, shocking everyone. Robert then agrees to send Aoife along with Seika to the academy of his dreams, and then tells Gray that he will not be sent to the Magic Academy and that he will have to enlist in the army. Gray is obviously frustrated and challenges Seika to a duel for the right to determine who will go to the Magic Academy. Seika accepts the challenge, and Robert declares that the duel will take place at noon the next day and that the use of lethal force is strictly prohibited. During the night, Luffy visits Seika to wish him a happy birthday and even gives him a gift, which is a very expensive pen. He admits that he never had the courage to talk to him properly, but now he feels like he should have been nicer to his younger brother. Luffy then asks Seika not to hurt his older brother, and Seika promises to do so. However, Gray has no intention of waiting until tomorrow and sends a gust of magical wind at Seika's window, intending to challenge him to a duel immediately. Seika comes downstairs, and Gray declares that he won't let him go to the Magic Academy because he believes Seika just got lucky with that monster. Gray uses a fire tornado spell on Seika, but it doesn't do even a little damage, and when Gray attacks him with wind magic, Seika blocks it with a barrier, and as Gray continues to cast spells at him, Seika takes out a paper doll and ties his brother up with it. He uses his spiritual arts to paralyze Gray, and then twists his arms so that he has no choice but to surrender to escape the terrible pain. As Gray faints, Seika decides to tell him that his victory over that monster was not a coincidence. The truth is that he had set things in motion 6 months ago, when he summoned the Cyclops demon and ordered him to lure the salamander to the mansion. He had already researched the salamander's weaknesses, and everything went exactly according to his plan. Ayuki asks Seika why he doesn't react in secret when he is very powerful. He then responds by saying that he doesn't want to stand out too much in this life because he paid a very high price due to his fame in his previous life. After that, when spring arrives, Seika goes to the gym with Aoife, where he realizes that his new body makes him feel nauseous. When he arrives at the inn, he is already exhausted, and Aoife comforts him. She has been thirsting for him for some time now and wants to sleep with him tonight, but Seika is as dumb as a beggar and doesn't understand her advances. The next day they go to the academy for the entrance test, where the examiner asks them to place their hand under a magic crystal so that their magical abilities can be checked. Aoife turns out to have an affinity for fire and wind magic, but Seika looks like a loser in front of everyone because he has no magic at all, while the other students gossip about how he only got into the academy because of his father's money. A girl angrily silences everyone as she addresses the examiner. Seika seems to recognize the girl, who introduces herself as Emi, a commoner with a strong affinity for the four elements. After being evaluated, Seika reflects on how she resembles his most beloved disciple from his previous life. After this, Seika takes his written exam, and then it is finally time for the practical exam. The students have to hit the stone targets with their best magic spells to show off their power. Seika discovers that most of the losers here can only use one element, which is quite sad for everyone. Soon it is Ifa's turn, and she destroys the targets with fire and wind magic, and Seika is also surprised that she has developed so much without him even knowing, and her progress brings tears to his eyes. Next it is his turn, and he uses the blue fire doll to set the first target on fire, before moving on to the second and destroying it. He then freezes the third with ice magic, and claims that this is all he can do. Everyone is shocked that someone without magic can do this. However, after him, Emi surprises everyone, because she can use the four basic elements, as well as the advanced elements of light and darkness. The results are announced the next day, and although Ifa is nervous about failing, she comes in second on the merit list, beating out Seika, who came in third. Emi is the first to be placed, and Seika chooses her as his next target to turn into his subordinate. After that, on the very first day of the academy, Seika realizes that something is wrong. He asks Ifa if there are any spirits nearby, and she says that there are many dark spirits roaming around here. Seika follows his instinct and finds a creepy magic circle etched into the floor. He suggests that it may be some kind of school experiment, and tells Ifa that they should not investigate further, but leave some paper dolls to spy on the area. Later, while Emi is giving her honors speech, Seika notices that the terrifying magic circle has been activated, and shortly after, 3 lesser demons invade the registration party. Everyone panics, but Seika calmly observes the demons to discover their purpose. The teachers fight the demons, but it is useless, and one of them is about to be crushed when Emi luckily attacks the demon and saves the teacher. Seika thinks that these demons are too slow to be the main attacking force, and uses his spy dolls to find the demon activating the magic circle. He informs Ifa that he has an urgent task to do, and sets out to confront the demon. He approaches the demon and asks why it is attacking the school, but the demon does not bother to answer, and summons his minions to attack him. Seika destroys 2 of the demons with his spirit arts, and then seals the third in a parallel dimension. The head demon decides to confront him, and summons several swords to fight him. Seika uses his paper dolls to attack him with fire, but the demon can see them even though they are invisible, and counterattacks with magic. The demon then states that it is his turn to counterattack, and throws his sword at Seika, who dodges, but is hit when the demon teleports the blade to attack him from behind. The demon uses a fire attack, and as Seika dodges, he appears behind him and deals a critical blow that severs his arm. The demon is impressed that a human boy can hold his own against him, so he tells him that the reason he attacked the academy was the hero. He laughs as he declares that Amy is the hero, and that he plans to finish her off soon. Seika is surprised to hear this, and the demon launches a barrage of swords at him and manages to rip off his head. Then, as the demon leaves to face the hero, Seika suddenly appears, singing a song about being the strongest. The demon attacks him again, but his powers seem to have no effect. Seika tells him that true power does not lie in individual strength, but in the cunning of controlling that power well. The demon summons hundreds of blades, and declares that he will give it his all now. Seika dodges all the swords, and uses water magic to flood the entire area. The demon teleports to the sky, and attacks Seika from above, but he dodges and summons a lightning spell to beat the creature. The demon takes the blow and appears behind Seika, transforming him into a sort of human Donald. However, Seika was waiting to be hit, and uses a self-destruct spell that causes serious damage to the enemy. Immediately after the explosion, Seika switches places with one of his paper dolls, which has taken all the damage from the previous attack. The demon realizes his trick, and says that he must be running out of dolls, but Seika shows him that there are several where these came from. He decides to put an end to this fight, and summons one of his most powerful creatures, which is sealed behind many doors. The creature is a dragon, which appears from behind the doors, leaving the demon shocked, because until now only the demon lord could summon a dragon. At Seika's command, the dragon attacks the demon and takes him to the sky. Before swallowing his body whole, Seika then asks the dragon to return to him, but the dragon tries to escape his control. He then sends his paper dolls to force it to change its ways, and the dragon rushes to attack him. Then Seika opens the door to the parallel world and seals it again, before concluding that his spiritual power was not properly returned to his body, which is why the dragon thought it could eliminate him. Soon after this, Seika returns to the academy and discovers that Amy Amy defeated all the lesser demons by herself. Looking at her and then looking at the other students, he feels that the strong will end up being dragged down and crushed by the weak, and that is exactly why he does not want to be the strongest in this life. He believes that if he sets Amy as the great hero of this world, as she is the strongest human, he will no longer be everyone's target. Seika decides to befriend this grotto and then make her the strongest human, thinking that even if she is crushed, he will not care about it. However, Amy does not seem to want to be his friend, and after a few months of trying to befriend her, he realizes that he does not have what it takes to make friends. One day, when Seika and Ifa are going to class, a huge bottle containing a foul-smelling chemical falls on them. Seika quickly teleports away from the chemical and wonders when Professor Nerd will apologize for the accident. Professor Nerd claims that the chemical is used in his research and that it contains monster blood combined with various herbs, and that when he was trying to levitate it using his magic, his hands slipped and it fell. Later, the homeroom teacher tells them that the two best students, Amy and Ifa, will participate in a ritual and will go to the forest to offer their hearts to a temple there. Seika thinks that this might be dangerous for the girls, so he orders Ifa to hand over her position to him, which she reluctantly does. While everyone, including the teacher, calls him a scoundrel for misusing his privileges, Seika doesn't care. He later apologizes for taking Ifa's chance and says that he wants to take care of Amy since she must have attracted some undue attention after killing all the demons earlier. He says he wants to be her friend because she is strong, and Ifa feels insecure because her master is paying more attention to another girl instead of her. But Seika assures him that she is his best girl, and Ifa is happy to hear that. Soon the day of the ritual arrives, and Amy asks Seika why he is being so insistent on coming with her. She asks if her servant was not enough to satisfy his carnal desires, and if because of that he is now hitting on her. Seika says that it is nothing like that, when suddenly Amy feels a sharp pain in her head. Seika investigates and discovers that there is a magic circle nearby, which seems to be the cause of Amy's headache. So he approaches her, and the magic circle activates and instantly teleports them to an underground dungeon. Before they realize what is happening, some lizard-like monsters attack them, but Amy moves quickly and defeats them in an instant. As she behaves heroically and powerfully, Seika praises her. Then another monster attacks her from behind, and Seika impales it with a wooden stake just in time. Amy says that being teleported into a dungeon like this is very dangerous, and that their chances of survival are very low, but she is hopeful that the two of them can stay alive until help arrives. As they explore the dungeon to find a way out, Seika sticks his paper dolls to the ceiling to mark the route, and also calls the employees he turned into bees to help them find a way out. And when a group of monsters decides to attack them, Amy dives head first to challenge them. She manages to knock some of them down, but one injured monster refuses to die and hits her hard. Now Amy is on the ground, and Seika rushes to help her, defeating all the monsters in his path with his wooden spike. As soon as he sees Amy losing consciousness, he summons the giant centipede to make quick work of it, quickly finishing off the rest of the monsters. Soon, Amy wakes up to find that Seika has healed her wounds. She is still having headache, and Seika creates a barrier that immediately calms her down. He claims that the headache she is having is due to a curse, but Amy says that this is impossible because she has never seen a curse mark on her body. Seika replies that there are places she cannot see, and she quickly comes to the conclusion that he is a pervert who only wants to see her body. However, she is a bit of a pervert herself and takes off her clothes so that he can see if there are any curse marks on her back. Seika finds nothing, but claims that there are other ways to curse someone. He then asks Amy for a lock of her hair and ties a paper doll to it that will absorb the curse in her place for the time being. After that, she asks about her abilities, but Seika doesn't give her clear answers. Amy talks about obscene things with him, but discovers that he is a bore who can't understand that Ifa is practically throwing herself at him. Seika decides to change the subject and asks her about herself. Amy reveals that her parents are adventurers and that she likes to fight. She claims to be unafraid of injury and death, which is why people around her have always thought she is strange. She says that she wants to get stronger at the academy so that the act of fighting becomes boring for her and that she can become normal that way. She asks Seika if he also thinks she is strange, but he replies that he thinks she has her place in the world, like everyone else. His words cheer her up, and she thanks him for not judging her after hearing her story. After that, they return to exploring and defeat hordes and hordes of monsters before reaching the boss room. There, Amy discovers that it is a serpentine monster and says that it is not wise to face it, but Seika says that they can win if they fight together. She decides to trust him, and they run to the boss room. Seika attacks the boss with wooden spikes, but they have no effect, and the monster spits acid at her. Seika dodges the attack, and Amy attacks the monster from behind, but her magic also has no effect. Seika soon finds an opportunity and impales the monster's mouth with a golden nail and asks Amy to use a fireball on it. She does as she is asked, and the golden nail absorbs all the heat to explode, weakening the monster so that Amy can finish it off. She is very happy to have defeated the boss and hugs Seika, saying that their teamwork was impeccable. He praises her and says that she is strong. After that, that, they move on to the rewards for clearing this dungeon. Seika finds a mithril sword embedded in a demon's hand and gives it to Amy since the weapon fits her perfectly. At that moment, a magic ring falls from the ground, and he decides to keep the ring as a reward. He says that it was fun being an adventurer and asks Amy to go on another adventure with him later, which she gladly agrees to. Soon, they find their way out and return to the school, where they inform the teachers about the dungeon. The magic circle that teleported them there had already disappeared, so no one could find out who was behind it. But Seika has already found out. He goes straight to Professor Nerd and confronts him about the curse he cast on Amy. The teacher asks how he found out, and Seika lists 13 reasons why he thinks the teacher is working for the demon. He finds out that the teacher helped the demons infiltrate the school and also teleported him and Amy into the dungeon. He asks the professor to show his true form, but the man laughs, saying that he is a human who works for the demons as a spy. Seika praises the man as a genius because he has created a new spell to curse someone from a distance, slowly killing them without leaving a trace. The professor is flattered, but says that Seika will have to die because he has learned his secret. However, Seika tells him that he is cursing a paper doll instead of Amy this time, because the professor has set the target of his curse to anyone who has been contaminated. The professor is astonished, and then Seika summons a demon that he had kept and bathes himself in its blood, which makes him absorb the curse into himself. He then prays to the god of hell to transfer the curse to his enemy, and the curse hits the professor full on, causing him to bleed all over. The professor loses a lot of blood and ends up dying, and Seika praises his research work on curses, but claims that he is nothing more than a bug compared to the strongest exorcist in the world. Soon after this, Seika gives Ifa the ring he found in the dungeon as a gift, as it can increase her connection with spirits, and she is happy to receive it. At this moment, Amy passes by and gives Seika the same cold treatment as before, despite everything that happened in the dungeon. However, she is quite friendly with Ifa, and Seika wonders what he did wrong. They end up getting along well, and soon Seika and his friends reach their second year of school life. Seika has been monitoring the entire academy campus, but there have been no attacks from demons or assassins since he dealt with the professor. Suddenly, the vice principal approaches them and asks Seika and Ifa to visit the principal the next day, and he has a bad feeling about this. He visits the principal the next day and discovers that she is a dwarf who takes offense at being called a demihuman. She thinks that Seika's attitude is similar to that of his uncle, who was once a student at the academy, but Seika is hearing about his father's brother for the first time. The principal quickly moves on to the main topic, telling him that he must participate in a combat tournament that will be held soon, and he will do so along with another new student. After she says this, a red-haired caveman enters the office and introduces herself as Mabel. The principal says that there are only 2 spots left, and that Mabel will take one of them, while she wants Seika to take the other. When Amy finds out about this, she is furious that she wasn't invited since she is the best student, but Seika has a theory about it and wants to test it out. Amy is still disappointed that she was overlooked. She imagines that Mabel is related to some nobleman who pulled strings to let her participate in the tournament, just to improve her resume. Amy says that the girl must be a spoiled brat who knows nothing about the real world, and at that moment, Mabel arrives and says the same thing to her. Amy confronts her. However, Amy says that Mabel was not chosen for the tournament simply because she was too weak. Amy takes this as a challenge and borrows some training swords from some students to challenge the redhead number 2 to a duel. At Seika's signal, Amy runs towards Mabel, who blocks her attack by strengthening her sword with dark magic. She faces Amy on equal terms and disarms her with a powerful blow. Mabel taunts her, calling her a spoiled heroine, and Amy calls her a cheater for using magic in a sword fight. Mabel responds by saying that she can't afford to complain like that in the real world, and before leaving, she also warns Seika to give up if he's not taking the tournament seriously, because otherwise he'll end up getting hurt. He gives her a forced smile, and when Mabel leaves, he goes to help Amy up. Amy has decided to accompany Seika and Mabel to the tournament, all to see them fight there. In the train car, Amy and Ifa continue talking, and Mabel says that they're all just sheltered children. Seika is getting tired of her emo attitude, but he decides to mind his own business. As soon as they arrive at the capital, Seika is in a bad mood due to nausea, but he still insists on going to the arena to find out who his opponent is. He discovers that if he and Mabel keep winning, they'll fight each other in the finals, and he'll only draw people's attention by doing that. He asks Ifa and Amy to explore the city while he rests for a while, but then uses his paper dolls to spy on Mabel and find out why she was chosen over Amy. The next day, Seika faces a skinny, evil swordsman who believes that magicians are useless in hand-to-hand combat. Seika says that he is not feeling well and that he will end the fight, but his opponent runs towards him as soon as the round begins. He stabs stabs Seika, who switches places with one of his paper dolls before taking the damage and moves behind the swordsman and knocks him out of the arena with magic. He wins the round immediately and returns home, where Yuki is worried that he is standing out too much. She is also worried that Seika is spreading his paper dolls too far, straining his body, but he replies that this is more important than the tournament itself. He goes to Ifa and Amy, and they watch the next round begin, between a mage and a mysterious ragged warrior. The ragged warrior named Kyle uses his demon eye technique to paralyze a mage with fear, and then stabs him in the chest, killing him instantly. Seika realizes that the boy is an experienced assassin, so he sends some of his paper dolls to spy on him. Meanwhile, Mabel is also watching, as she prepares for battle, and she seems to be worried about something. After that, Seika faces a magic using golem in the second round. Its user claims that his golem was specially made to fight magic users. She orders her golem to attack, and Seika summons one of her fastest demon servants to cut it down, and before anyone realizes what is happening, the golem is turned into rubble, causing her enemy to give up. Seika then returns to his friends, and Ifa is worried about his safety after seeing Kyle fight. He assures her that he won't be hurt, but Amy complains about his fighting and asks if he's also like that in bed, which I don't understand and neither do you. Their crazy conversation is interrupted when Mabel's fight begins, and they turn their attention to the arena. Her opponent is an experienced earth mage, but Mabel cuts through his attacks with her sharp swords, and while Seika paints stronger spells, Mabel throws knives at him, which break his stone walls easily. Seika realizes that she is using gravity magic to make her knives heavier than my mother. He believes that it is impossible to do something like that with natural means, and wonders how much she trained to reach this level. Mabel cuts the wizard's staff and defeats him, and the commentator calls her the red-haired heroine. Seika is confused because he still doesn't quite understand the traditions of this world, and Emily says that the second hero is named Mabel, and that she had the same hair color and the same choice of weapons as her. Seika then realizes what is happening, and during the night he intercepts a spy demon who sends a messenger pigeon somewhere. This enemy shows ignorance and tries to attack Seika from behind, but he ties him up with his vine. The spy asks how he knew about him, and Sokka tells him that his servants are watching him and talking to other informants. Seika then asks him what message he sent, but the spy asks him to interrogate his corpse. Seika replies that he will ask his soul if he is not willing to talk, and summons the crazy monkey. No, it is not your Discord friend, nor mine. The crazy monkey is a demon who can read minds by stealing the words from their mouths. Seika continues asking the spy some questions, and the monkey reads his mind and tells him about the demons he works for. The spy believes that Mabel is the heroine, because she is a red-haired girl with incredible powers and meets all the requirements that describe the hero. Seika thinks he has learned everything, so he frees the man and gives him as a gift to his crazy monkey. The monkey eats the man, and then turns to Seika to read his thoughts, where he reveals that Seika is filled with pity for the man who was just killed. Seika does not like his thoughts being read, so he threatens to kill the monkey if he does not stop. The monkey is terrified and runs back to his room in the parallel dimension. At that moment, Yuki emerges from his hair, and Sokka apologizes for having scared her. She realized that the school sent Mabel to the tournament to make everyone believe that she is the heroine, so that the real heroine, M, can be safe. He doesn't mind letting Mabel get all the attention, and has no intention of investigating the girl's true identity, as long as she can be useful to him. The next day, the tournament starts again, and in addition to Seika, Mabel, and Kyle, there is also a magical swordsman who can use the 4 elements. And as soon as the 4 semi-finalists are defined, Mabel tells Seika to give up, claiming that the tournament is not what he thinks. Seika says that he has no intention of doing that, but Mabel asks him to listen to her if he doesn't want to die. He still refuses and tells Red that she must tell the truth if she wants to go to the finals. After that, the first semi-final between Kyle and the unnamed extra character begin. The extra uses light magic to become resistant to Kyle's demonic eyes, and even attacks him with fireball. However, Kyle continues to walk towards him without even flinching. Seika realizes that Kyle is using gravity magic to reinforce his body and protect him from all kinds of attacks. The extra creates an army of golems to fight him, but Kyle uses shadow magic to destroy them all at once, and then restricts the extra's movements to finish him off. However, just before he knocks him down, the judges blow their whistles declaring the fight over. That night, Seika tells Yuki that he plans to lose the next day in order to keep his power. Suddenly, she takes the form of a human and asks her master to show her some love, but he tells her to stop, as he only likes gods goths over the age of 39. Just then, his owl spots Mabel on the roof, and Seika hugs Yuki and jumps out of the way before Mabel can bring the roof down. Seika tells Mabel that there are better ways to get into a man's room, but she says she's not here to give it to him. She attacks him and drags him out the window, where she delivers several quick attacks. She frees herself from the tangled vines and rushes to stab Seika, but only manages to stab one of his paper dolls. Seika uses his forced expulsion spell and teleports behind her, but she resists, showing that she is stronger than he thinks. Seika wonders if he should get rid of her, but a drunk interrupts the fight, and Mabel uses him as whiskey to escape. Yuki appears and asks what the crazy girl is thinking, and Seika replies that they should ask her directly. He finds a nostalgic Mabel near a fountain, and when she is startled to see him, he tells her that he is here to talk, not to fight. Seika asks her to tell him the whole truth, and then he might consider accepting her suggestion to give up. Mabel then reveals that she was planning to hurt him so that he would not fight tomorrow. She asks him once again to give up, because she does not want to kill him. However, Seika says that he is here to act as Amy's representative, and that his goal is to win the tournament to divert everyone's attention, which leaves the girl shocked. Seika believes that there is another reason for her to be here, and Mabel decides to tell him the truth. She says that her role here is to die at the hands of Kylie, to make the demons think that the hero is dead. She says that she and Kylie are orphans, who were taken in by a clandestine organization, which has trained them to be assassins since they were little. The organization puts orphans in groups of 4 people, who grow stronger together as they form bonds with each other. However, when they reach puberty, the strongest of the group has a magic spell implanted in his head, which destroys his emotions and turns him into a killing machine. In her group, Kylie received the magic spell, and was forced to kill all 3 of her friends to prove her abilities. He had already killed 2 of them, but then the organization found a way to make money off of Mabel by making Kylie famous as a hero assassin, and so they sent her to the tournament. However, she does not plan to die quietly at his hands and wants to kill him. Mabel claims that Kylie killed her brother, who was in the same group, but Seika denies it. He knows that Kylie is his real brother, and she wants to kill him to free him from his cruel fate. She is surprised by his correct deduction, and tells Seika that her brother's last wish was to be stopped by her if he became a monster, and that is why she wants to enter the finals no matter what, and defeat him at the risk of her life. Seika stands up and says that he has changed his mind, and that now he will enter the finals and defeat Kylie for her. Miley says that it is her duty to do so, but he replies that she will only lose her life if she fights Kylie. He asks her to return to the academy, and promises that no one will tell her anything, as he will protect her. Seika tells Mabel that her brother would like her to be free and happy, and because he wants the best for her and her brother, he will grant both of their wishes. Mabel is speechless, but tells Seika that she will not hold back the next day, and he responds by saying that he will prove to her that he is the strongest. The next day they face each other in the arena, and as Mabel imposes her giant axe, she states that a spoiled noble boy like him will not be able to defeat her. The duel begins, and despite using a heavy weapon, Mabel moves with incredible speed, and puts Seika at a disadvantage with her powerful blows. He attacks her by throwing rocks at her, but she uses the momentum of the axe to dodge the attack, and quickly counterattacks. Seika blocks her counterattack and ties her with vines, but Mabel frees herself from them with her brute strength. Seika places one of his paper dolls on his axe, which makes her axe 1,000 times heavier, making it impossible for her to lift it. He then summons stronger vines to bind her, and takes his axe. The judges then signal Seika's victory, and the duel ends instantly. Mabel feels lost after her defeat, and Seika asks her to leave Kyle with him. Soon the final round of the tournament between Seika and Kyle begins. Seika asks the emo boy if he was expecting to fight Mabel, and he replies that that was the plan. He has truly lost all his emotions, and says that he will still kill because he was ordered to. Seika does not like his cold attitude, and says that he will make sure to change after defeating him. The battle begins, and Seika uses a crimson mist to prevent Kyle's demonic eye from affecting him. Kyle still walks towards him without being intimidated, even though Seika attacks him with his blue fireball. He then ties him up using the same metal vines that prevented Mabel from moving, but Kyle manages to break them using shadow magic, and then attacks Seika with this magic. Seika blocks everything using a barrier, but he gets angry with Kyle's attack, so he summons a 4-armed demon to show him his place. Kyle attacks the demon, who remains unharmed, and breaks its bones with a light attack. Seika comments that if he had his emotions, he would feel true fear when facing an opponent stronger than him, and would run for his life. He approaches the unconscious Kyle when suddenly a curse appears all over his body. Seika quickly tries to subdue the curse, but it has already seriously damaged Kyle's body. However, he regained his personality for a brief period, and while Seika tries to diagnose his symptoms, he asks Seika to send Mabel his sincere apology. After this, Kyle dies, and Seika is furious that someone is trying to vanquish him with a curse. His pride as the strongest exorcist is hurt, and he decides decides to use all his skills to bring this dead boy back to life. When he starts to chant a spell to revive Kyle, Yuki asks him to stop, as reviving his opponent will attract too much attention. Seika realizes that she is telling the truth, so he stops her with a reanimation spell. When the red mist dissipates, Seika stores Kyle's body in a parallel dimension and claims that he evaporated him without leaving a trace. He wins the tournament and later buries Kyle's dead body in a quiet place with Mabel's help. She knew that her brother was cursed to die if he lost, and so she had lost all hope of saving him. Seika passes her Kyle's last message, in which he apologized for the 4-leaf clover. Mabel cries, saying that right before the surgery, her brother accidentally broke her favorite hair clip with the 4-leaf clover design, and they fought over it. She cries for a long time, before asking Seika what will happen to her now. He asks her to come back to the academy, as he will make sure everything works out for her. Mabel happily accepts the offer, and returns with Seika to the carrot, where Ifa and Amy are waiting for them. They have already heard most of the story from Seika, and accept Mabel. Despite knowing her past, Amy challenges Mabel to a sword fight, and this time, she uses magic to strengthen her sword, and this allows her to easily defeat Mabel this time. She then boasts about being the best in her class in practical classes, and asks Mabel to become her training partner at school, as no one else but her comes close to her physical abilities. Soon, Seika and his group return to the academy, and he goes to talk to the principal, and there he finds out that she wanted him to participate in the tournament so that he could save Mabel's life, and the principal is impressed by his judgment. She claims that the underground organization sold Mabel to her because they were already planning to kill her anyway, but she felt sorry for the girl who had faced many hardships. She wanted to save the girl, so she trusted Seika because she knew he was the strongest person in the world. Mabel's safety at the academy is guaranteed, and she asks Seika to help her as her senior. After that, Seika goes to a common room, where he finds that Mabel's hair dye has disappeared because she no longer needs to pretend to be a hero. Now she is terrified of Seika, who is very strict in helping her study, and she receives no help from Ifa or Ami. The mid-semester break soon begins, and Seika is given an assignment by his father to investigate a dragon in a nearby kingdom. Ami wants to go with him, but Seika reminds her that her parents must be waiting for her, since Mabel was adopted, and she will also be spending time with her new parent. Ifa seems a little nervous because she wants to go with Seika, and he invites her to come along. At that moment, Cecilio, the crown prince of the kingdom of Asteria, arrives in the cafeteria and says that they seem to be going to a third world country. His elf servant asks him to be careful of the snowflake, and Cecilio decides not to comment and goes straight to Seika and introduces himself. Suddenly, his gaze falls on Ifa, and he is enchanted by her beauty and asks her to join his harem and become one of his 200 wives. Ifa doesn't know what to say, but she manages to say that she is Seika's slave, so she cannot accept his offer. Cecilio then turns to Seika and asks him to name the price for the girl. Before he can give an answer, Elphalus, the prince's servant, asks him to take the matter elsewhere. They meet in a private office, where Cecilio tells Seika that the mission to investigate the dragon has been issued by his kingdom. He tells Seika that the dragon has lived in harmony with the people of his kingdom for over a century, but now the dragon has suddenly started to misbehave. Seika wants to know why the dragon has lived in harmony with humans for so long. Cecilio tells him a story about a queen who helped a dragon hatch its egg, and then helped the dragon hatch into a baby dragon. He doesn't know if this story is true, and asks Seika to investigate it while he searches for the dragon. Later, when Seika is walking back to his dorm, Amy and Mabel pull him into the bushes and ask if he is planning to give Ifa to Prince Womanango. He promises that he will not let her go, but it will be a different matter if she likes the prince, as he will respect her decision. The girls come to the conclusion that Seika is really quite stupid, as Ifa has no intention of leaving him. In the end, they decide not to bring up the subject anymore. The next day, Seika and Ifa leave with Cecilio's group. Ifa believes that a prince like Cecilio would not really want to add a slave like her to his harem, but Seika thinks that the prince is serious. Ifa smiles, saying that she was a little happy to hear that, and Seika feels jealous for the first time in a long time in his life. After a long journey, they arrive at the capital of the kingdom, and Cecilio comments that everything here is peaceful, but that the dragon is causing trouble. He points to the dragon flying over the city, scaring people, and Seika comments that it is quite large. Suddenly, the dragon turns towards them and flies dangerously close to them, scaring Ifa, until suddenly a summoner calls a lava tiger to face the dragon. The dragon flees, but the lava tiger notices the defenseless Ifa and runs towards her. Seika restrains it using crystal pillars, but the lava tiger easily melts them and runs towards him. Seika is about to erase the tiger from the world's existence when his summoner puts a collar around its neck and restrains it. He calls the tiger back, and Cecilio comes running to reprimand a summoner who calls himself Zekti. He is reprimanded for letting his beasts attack his guest. However, Zekti tells him that there are more important things to worry about, as the dragon has become more impatient and dangerous in recent days. Seika learns that Cecilio Cecilio has hired mercenaries led by Zekti to kill the dragon if they can't find a way to stop it. Seika says that this is a bad idea because Zekti's lava tiger won't be able to defeat the dragon, but it will make it very angry. Zekti arrogantly tells Seika to shut up because he doesn't know anything about the real world. Seika says that he should learn to control his tiger before lecturing others and warns him not to put it where he can see it next time. Cecilio interrupts their fight and tells Zekti to leave. After this, Seika asks him if he has the queen's approval to kill the dragon and discovers that the prince was acting on his own. He asks Seika to stay out of his country's politics, so he turns to Ifa and teaches her to fight for herself. He tells her that he will not be with her forever and that she must use her magic to protect herself. Ifa begins to cry after hearing this, and Seika forbids the prince from interfering between him and his servant. Seika knows that his words were harsh, but he knows that she must overcome her fear, or she will pay a heavy price for this. In his previous life, one of his students was eaten by a dragon before Seika could fully tame it, and he does not want Ifa to go through that. The next day, Seika gathers information about the dragon in the library and discovers that the dragon also behaved strangely 150 years ago. At that time, there was a pair of dragons in the mountains, which had laid eggs, and in order to keep people away, they scared away humans and monsters, and of course stole livestock to feed their young. However, the female dragon died a few years later, and now there is only one male dragon. Ifa believes that this time the dragon's agitation cannot be due to childbirth, but Seika plans to climb the mountain to find out the truth. Ifa says it is dangerous, but he assures her that he will be fine. That night, while he is busy with his research, Ifa knocks on his door, saying that Cecilio has sent a maid to invite her to his room. She does not want to go, and is afraid of being alone, so Seika lets her share his room and bed. As they lie back to back, Seika asks Ifa if she plans to join the prince's harem, and she refuses. He tells Ifa not to be shy, and if she is holding back because of him, she should go to the prince. Ifa is hurt by his words, and says that if he is upset about her being weak and cowardly, she will make things better, but she does not want him to leave her. Seika realizes that he chose the wrong words, and tells Ifa that he only wanted to tell her that being invited to a harem was a great opportunity for any woman, especially since it was the prince's harem, and he says that he will feel a little lonely without her, but for him what matters is her decision. Ifa says that she will think about it, and goes to sleep with tears in her eyes. The next morning, Seika discovers that she left the room before he woke up. Yuki also appears, and says that he was too harsh with a girl who has loved him forever, but he refuses to believe her. Later, he goes to Cecilio, and confronts him for inviting Ifa to his room late at night. The prince apologizes, and once again asks Seika to sell his servant to him. Seika says that he does not treat Ifa as an object, and so he cannot give her to just anyone, but if she wants to join his harem, she is free to do so. After this, Seika informs Cecilio that he plans to climb the mountain to investigate the dragon, and hopes that the prince will not try to approach Ifa while he does so. As he leaves for the mountain, he bids farewell to Ifa, and when she returns to the palace, Elphalise approaches her. She has realized that Ifa has the ability to see spirits, because she has elven blood running through her veins. She asks Ifa to join Cecilio's harem, saying that it is a better option than remaining a slave to a monster. Lies asks Ifa if she has not noticed that the spirits avoid Seika, as if he were releasing Bonako miasma. She responds that despite everything, Seika is a human, and she has known him as a kind boy since they were little. Lies asks more questions about her master's origin, and discovers that no one knows who Seika's mother is. She claims that Seika's mother could very well be a demon, and asks Ifa to stay away from her dangerous master. Ifa gets nervous, and Lies seizes the opportunity to take her to see the harem. While his girl is being manipulated against him, Seika climbs the mountain riding his giant centipede, and finds the dragon. The CGI dragon is aggressive and attacks Seika immediately, who blocks its fire breath with his barrier. The dragon attacks him, but Seika dodges the attack, and summons a demon with incredible weight to knock it down. After that, he traps the dragon in an unbreakable net, and goes to the nest, where he finds the dragon's egg. Ayuki appears and asks how a male dragon can lay an egg, and Seika answers that these dragons are gender-fluid species, which can change from male to female at will. Seika decides to help with the egg's hatching process, and the story about the queen hatching a dragon egg suddenly begins to make sense to him. His actions win the dragon's heart, who assigns him the task of caring for her baby. Seika creates a circle of fire, and continues to roll the egg while the dragon rests. He gets tired of caring for the egg, and decides to return to the palace and tell the prince that the dragon will not attack them unnecessarily. However, the dragon does not want him to leave and approaches him to embrace him. Meanwhile, Ifa discovers that all the prince's future wives live together happily. Alice claims that this place develops the girls of the harem to be important figures in the future, and the prince wants to find a suitable candidate for his wife among them. Ifa is unsure of her answer, so Alice takes her to the prince, who is waiting for her along with a slave trader and a court official. The prince asks the trader to assess Ifa's worth and then brings the amount he believes is needed. Ifa is terrified and asks what is happening, and the prince says he will pay Seika this money to free her from her condition as a slave. Ifa says he should not do this without Seika's approval, but Cecilio is confident that he can win him over with a fair price, and if Seika still refuses to comply, he will pass a law to forcibly buy all the slaves in the country, just to have Ifa. She then says that she does not want to be freed, because even though she is a slave, Seika has given her freedom of choice. Cecilio understands, but his officials tell him that she is too naive a girl to think for herself, and that they must force her to break the contract. He immediately orders his guards to learn, and while Ifa tries to command the spirits to help her, Lies uses her dominance to prevent her from using her magic here. She tells Ifa that this is for her own good, and cuts off her thumb with a wind spell, and as she is about to take her thumbprint on an official document, Ifa cries for Seika to save her, and suddenly, the imposing figure of the dragon appears there, destroying Liza's domain. Seika makes his entrance, telling the prince and the others not to be afraid, as he has made friends with the dragon. Ifa is relieved to see him, and when Seika calls for her to help him with the dragon's shoulder, she happily runs to him, telling Lies and Cecilio that she will not leave Seika's side, no matter what. They mount the dragon, and Ifa thanks Seika for helping her earlier, but he does not even know what he saved her from. As soon as they reach the nest, Zeit's lava tiger attacks Seika, and traps him again with crystal pillars. He tells Zeit to stop hiding and come out, and he comes with his entire pack. He declares that he had been planning to kill the dragon and steal its egg all along, and the foolish prince believed all his lies and gave him permission to do so. He tells Seika to prepare to die, and orders the tiger to attack him. Before Seika can even attack the tiger, Ifa uses her magic, and sends the tiger flying with a fountain of water. She declares that she will no longer be timid and defenseless, and Seika is impressed by her determination. An enraged Zeit orders his tiger and his men to attack them, but Seika uses a powerful white fire that burns the tiger without leaving even ashes, just as he had said he would. Zeit and his mercenaries are terrified of him, and the dragon also joins the fight. Seika ties them up with vine, and in a last-ditch effort, Zeit decides to blow up the entire mountain with his greatest spell. However, Ifa sets his spellbook on fire, rendering it completely useless. Seika praises Ifa for becoming brave so quickly, and after that he takes the mercenaries to the prince and reports their crime. Cecilio orders them to be arrested, and asks Seika to tell him more about the dragon. Seika tells him that the dragon laid an egg, and accepted it because he helped it take care of the egg. This makes him believe that the story about a queen helping to hatch a dragon egg is true, and the only reason why the dragons have protected this country for so long is because they saw the queen as their mother. Seika asks Cecilio to keep the tradition and help hatch the dragon's egg, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants the glory of killing the dragon, as it will help him rise in power, and to do so he asks Seika to kill the dragon. Seika refuses, so Cecilio arrests him, claiming that he was responsible for causing the dragon's rampage, an obviously false accusation. Seika planned to follow the script, but then the prince goes to Ifa, and asks her to abandon her monstrous master and come to his side. Seika can't let this go, and attacks the prince, saying that he was thinking with his inferior brain the whole time. He calls him an incompetent idiot, saying that he is also a pervert who can't even do his job properly. He declares that he will not hand Ifa over to someone like him. Lies starts laughing, and orders the soldiers to lower their swords, before asking Ifa to speak her mind. Ifa tells Cecilio that she will return to the academy with Seika, and even if she is free, she will choose Seika over anyone else. The dejected prince gives up, and Lies apologizes to Seika for everything that happened, and he simply forgives them. I would kill everyone. After this, Lies calls Ifa for a private conversation, in which she asks if she loves Seika. Ifa is confused, and Lies says that she could have said that from the beginning, and as an apology, she gives her one of her rare light spirits, which heals her finger instantly. Lies wishes Ifa all the best, and says that she hopes she finds happiness with Seika. When they return to the house, Seika discovers that Ifa is descended from elves, which is why she can use spirit magic. He is happy that she rejected the loser prince, and asks what kind of man she likes. And although Ifa describes him clearly with words, Seika's romantic stupidity kicks in, and he believes that it is hard to find men like that. Later, Seika meets Amy and Mabel at the gym, and tells them that his father wants to meet his friends. He invites them to his house during spring break, and they are happy to accept. However, when he is alone, Seika sighs because he really doesn't want to go back home, since the person who wants to meet him and his friends is not his father, but an important political figure, and even though he doesn't want to meet this person, he has no choice but to obey. A few days later, Seika arrives home with his friends, where Luft welcomes them, and as soon as they finish introducing themselves, Gray appears, shouting Seika's name and challenging him to a duel again. Seika greets him and asks if he is having fun in the army, and Gray replies that he is doing much better than he imagined, so he is somewhat grateful to him. However, he still hasn't gotten over his humiliating defeat and wants to fight Seika again. Amy asks Ifa if he was the bully brother, and as soon as she confirms it, she steps in front of the bully and volunteers to fight on Seika's behalf. Seika is also happy to hear this, and tells Gray that he needs to defeat Amy in order to fight him. His brother accepts the condition and asks Amy to use her real sword, while he fights with a wooden sword. Seika is the referee, and he forbids the use of magic before the fight begins. When the fight begins, Amy pushes Seika's brother back, and he loses his balance, giving her the chance to finish him off. However, he begins to chant a spell that scares Amy, and he manages to disarm her. She accuses him of cheating, but the bully replies that it was her fault for being fooled by a fake spell, and now that he has defeated the redhead, the bully brother wants Seika to fight him. And suddenly, a princess appears and is excited to see her holy knight in a fight. The bully is surprised to see Princess Fiona there, when she should be in her room at that moment. He asks her what she's doing here, and she laughs and says she came to see him lose. After hearing such words, Seika's brother gives up the fight, and Seika is surprised that the girl managed to tame his wild nature. He then introduces Fiona as the sacred princess of his kingdom, and the girls are shocked to learn this. When they go back inside to talk, Seika tells Yuki that Fiona was called the sacred princess because her mother was a priestess, and she inherited her abilities and strength from the royal blood. They sit down to have tea, and Amy whispers to Seika about the reason for the sacred princess's present. Fiona responds that she wants to meet the hero of this era, making Amy blush. She then praises Seika, saying that she has also heard many things about him, and asks him and his group to accompany her to the capital. Seika accepts his request, and after the princess leaves, the girls ask him why he kept the princess a secret until now, and he can't give them a proper answer. That night they gather for dinner, and Fiona says things that indicate that the food may be drugged, but in doing so, she cleverly discovers that Seika has befriended a dragon, that Ifa loves him, and that Mabel is not a noble by birth. As they talk, Seika's adoptive father remembers a conversation he had with a servant of his, who was actually Ifa's father. His attendant was upset that his daughter had been sent to serve Seika, who was a creepy, illegitimate child of unknown origin. But Robert was confident that his brother's son was a good person. Later, when Seika is relaxing in his room, Ayuki imitates Fiona and says that she doesn't like her at all. Seika understands what she means and comments that his wife in his previous life was like that too. Ayuki is surprised to hear this and wants to know more, but then Amy appears. Seika is startled, but Amy simply lies down on his bed and begins asking about his future plans. She says that she will go on an adventure after graduation and asks Seika if he plans to pursue higher education. He reminds her of their promise to go on adventures together and promises to become an adventurer to do so. Amy is happy to hear this and says that she will look forward to it. After she leaves, Ayuki climbs down from Seika's head and reminds him that he was only getting close to Amy to hide his strength, using her as bait, and he says that he remembers everything. The next day, Seika takes Fiona on a tour of the city, with Amy and Goliath as his only guards. She's having fun and even holds Seika's hand as they walk around the market, pretending they're on a date. She wants to get even closer to him and decides to use the old cliche of being saved by the guy to get closer to him. She clings to Seika and asks him to stay close to her in case something unexpected happens. Fiona takes him to a construction site where a rope snaps right above them and a pile of wood is falling. Gray and Amy quickly spring into action, breaking the logs and protecting the princess with earth magic. Everyone asks Seika if he was asleep, and he says he was counting on their skill. Fiona doesn't seem too pleased that someone else saved her instead of Seika, and to make up for it, he gives her a ribbon. He even creates a magic mirror so she can see herself, and the princess is happy to receive his gift. Later, Seika finds Gray practicing his sword skills. He asks why the princess chose him as her holy knight. Goliath says that despite her innocent appearance, Fiona is a seasoned politician and chose him not because of his skills, but because of some grand plan she must have. He adds that she named her guards holy knights to attract more influence. Seika says that Fiona seems like a normal girl, but Goliath says he is mistaken because she is actually a viper. He says that Fiona was once forbidden from even leaving her room. However, now she is one of the candidates to become the next ruler. All of this was possible because she has the ability to see the future. Seika is astonished to hear this and Gray tells him that Fiona's mother also has the power to see the future, and she predicted the birth of the Demon Lord and the hero. The kingdom has not confirmed anything yet, but based on Fiona's interest in Amy, Gray thinks it is safe to assume that she is the hero. He tells Seika to be careful around the princess, as she may be interested in him, and asks him not to get too close to her. The next day, Fiona starts looking for Seika, but he keeps teleporting away from her. He does not want to get too involved with her, just as his brother advised him to do. However, when he comes across Amy, who is saying that she is going to fight Goliath, she tells Seika to talk to the princess for a while, because she seems very sad that he is ignoring her. Seika goes to the roof and finds Fiona playing chess alone, but when she sees him, she invites him to a game. She claims to be the best chess player in the world, and decides to play only with the pawns and the king to be fair to Seika. In addition, she also makes a bet that the loser will have to accept a request from the winner. Seika agrees to do so, and they discuss politics while playing. Fiona believes that in any country, the greatest power belongs to the people, which is why she is traveling around the empire to spread her name so that people will support her. She wants to receive help from the nameless people to consolidate her strength, and she thinks that Seika can be useful to her as well. He confronts her about her worldview, and Fiona says that she was going to tell him the truth soon. She says she wants to use her powers to help others and wants Seika to help her with that. Seika doesn't tell him much about his power, but he still agrees to help her. She easily defeats him at chess and smiles as she says she'll think carefully about the one request he can't refuse. The next day, it's time for them to leave for the capital, and they bid a long goodbye to Luft before leaving. Seika takes the carriage with Fiona and Golit, and his seasickness immediately puts him in a bad mood. He still keeps an eye on the convoy using his servants and asks his brother about the knights and bandits found in the area. Just then, someone attacks the convoy and destroys one of the carriages with luggage. Seika jumps onto the top of the carriage and finds that the bandits have surrounded the group from all sides. The archers shoot at him, but he uses a magnetic shield to deflect the arrow. The bandit leader is frustrated with the uselessness of his warriors and mages in the face of Seika's power, and then Golit takes control of the situation and orders his knights to take down the bandits. Fiona appears and asks Seika to catch all the bandits alive, and he ties them up with vines to fulfill her request. Soon the girls also join Seika, and Ami is disappointed that she didn't fight. Afterwards, she says it was strange that the bandits attacked such a well-guarded group. At this point, Fiona calls Seika to her carriage to thank him, and states that she needed the bandits alive to serve as proof that someone tried to assassinate her. She had already seen his future, and so she had brought extra carriages to transport the assassins to the capital. Seika says that this is dangerous, as the bandits may try to escape and attack the princess again, but she assures them that they won't do anything reckless, as the bandits are waiting for reinforcements that will never come. Soon, the group arrives at the capital, and Fiona, strangely sentimental, says goodbye to Seika and his friends. Before leaving, she tells Seika to never forget that she is by his side, and he doesn't understand what she means. Soon, Seika returns to the academy, and there he is given the position of student council president. He accepts the position, but upon returning to his dormitory, Ayuki asks him if taking on such a prestigious position won't make him stand out even more. Seika replies that he has been thinking about changing his behavior for some time, because due to his death in his past life, he has been acting like a coward, so he wants to enjoy the rest of his school life, not trying to keep a low profile, and after that he wants to live the life of an adventurer. And as for the increasing number of powerful enemies, he wants to deal with them without letting anyone know what happened. Seika doesn't know that he will have to face enemies sooner than he expected, because a group of powerful demons has arrived outside the academy city, and their only mission is to kill the great hero. The leader of the group of demons senses a powerful presence within the city and believes it to be the hero. His plan to kill the hero involves taking all the students to the center of the academy city and then massacring everyone there. He believes that even if the heroine is in hiding, she will come to save her classmate. The leader declares that they will surely kill the hero and return home alive, and his friends believe him. Poor things. In addition to the leader, the group includes a guy who can summon monsters and these two strangers. The demons teleport into the city, but find it covered in a thick crimson fog. This demon spots two students walking in the park and attacks them with his fire magic, but discovers that he didn't kill anyone with this magic. The bunny boy and Sleeping Beauty go to another location and flirt with each other while trying to find some humans to kill. They talk about how they used to be the strongest people in their village, but then they met the captain and discovered that they still had room to grow. They set off on a journey together and grew stronger, and now they feel like they can actually win a fight against the hero. Suddenly, they spot someone nearby, and the bunny boy sends his shadow wolves to chase them. The wolves find no one and return with something that surprises their master. In another location, Uncle Hellboy meets Mabel, who challenges him to a real fight. She believes he is an assassin sent by the underground organization that trained her, and attacks him with her giant axe, but he is stronger than her, and blocks the attack before launching a series of powerful blows that keep Mabel very busy. Poor thing, she counterattacks with her gravity-infused weapon, and the demon realizes that she is too powerful, and when Mabel attacks him again, he manages to throw her weapon away, but she stabs him with her knife. The demon says that he will not be defeated by this, and suddenly he approaches. But Mabel activates her shadow magic and traps him. She tells him to surrender, but Hellboy manages to break free, and claims that he is resistant to all magical elements. He attacks Mabel, gives her a strong blow, but discovers that all he hit was a paper doll. The demon captain is in the center of the academy campus, and soon his group arrives there. They all have the same story about humans who turn into paper dolls the exact moment they are attacked, and they sense that something strange is happening in this place, and their captain decides to retreat immediately. Suddenly, Seika appears, singing a poem he wrote a long time ago. The demon captain uses his magical eyes to measure his strength and discovers that he is too strong for them. Seika tells the demons that with the exception of the girl with the giant axe, all the demons they have faced were fake. Uncle Hellboy claims that the girl was the strongest, but he can sense that Seika is even stronger than her. He challenges him to a fight, but has his head cut off suddenly. Poor thing. Seika was just playing with a paper doll, which he had used to curse the demon, and says that this demon was quite weak, despite its muscular build. Sleeping Beauty becomes furious and rushes to attack Seika. Although the captain tells her to stop, she unleashes her demon eye ability that can turn anyone into stone, but it doesn't work on Seika, who promises to show her something similar. He summons a giant white snake. The snake has its eyes sewn shut, and even so, its gaze stops the demon girl's heart, killing her instantly. The rabbit boy becomes furious and tries to attack, but he can't do any damage. He was just using it as bait so he could approach the white snake and use his tamer skills to befriend it. He is confident that he can tame the snake, but when he turns around, the snake swallows him whole. Seika laughs at his futile attempt to send his snake back, and the demon captain realizes that he never had any chance of defeating the boy. Despite being terrified by Seika's power, the captain tells his teammate to run away while he holds the enemy at bay. He wants the normal demon to return to the demon realm and tell everyone about the monster in human form. His teammate asks the captain who the boy in front of him is, and he uses his magic eyes only to end up confirming that Seika is indeed the next demon lord. The demons cannot digest this information, but then Seika tells them that he will not let them kill the hero, and they realize that the strongest demon lord in history has sided with the human. Seika attacks the demons with a tsunami of lava, and the captain tries to block it with his barrier to allow his friend to escape. He manages to let him escape at the cost of his life, but Seika doesn't plan on letting him get that far. As the wounded demon rests under a tree, he finds a deep cut on his chest and dies, wondering how a human can be the lord of the demon. Back at the academy, Seika stabs a dummy with a knife to kill it before dispersing his snow. At that moment, Mabel runs up to him and asks where the giant red killer went, as she is afraid he will kill other people. Seika realizes that the spell he used to keep people away didn't work on Mabel, due to her strong mind, and he assures her that the killer demon was after the hero, not her. He says that he has already dealt with the problem, and asks her to keep it all a secret. Soon, the welcoming party for the new group of students is organized, and Seika has to give a speech as the student council president. He talks to Em about her speech during the welcoming ceremony, and she does it again, because this time he was interrupted by the demon's attack, and just as he is about to leave to give his speech, a group of men invade the hall looking for Em. The knight captain accuses her of having killed an emissary of the demon, who came to the academy a few days ago, and arrests her, and despite Em's claim that she has never encountered a demon, she is taken away. Seika becomes nervous when he realizes that something big is happening in the darkness. And when the knights try to arrest him, Aoife and Mabel try to stop them, but Seika tells them not to do anything. He assures all the girls that they have nothing to worry about, because Em is innocent and she will not be punished. The knights take this as an insult and try to fight back, but the captain tells them to stop and take him away. Seika goes straight to the principal's office and says that the demons were really here at the academy, and they were killed without anyone noticing their presence. She knows that Seika was behind this incident, and asks if he is here to lecture her for letting the Empire imprison one of her students. Seika replies that he knows that the Empire is trying to kill the hero, and says that his goal is to find out the reason behind it. He receives the answer that the Empire's politics are complicated, and that there are many reasons behind Em's imprisonment. She assures Seika that she is doing her best to pressure the nobles to release the girl, and asks him to stay quiet and wait for the good news. But Seika does not believe that the efforts of a person with dwarfism can yield result. He says that if too much time passes, Em might die, but in the end, since Seika can't trust anyone but himself, he decides to take action himself. Aoife and Mabel are waiting for him outside the office, and they want to join Seika in rescuing him. As soon as he leaves the office, he tells them to calm down, since they can't do anything to help him on their own, and asks them to let the school administration handle. He says he'll wait patiently at the academy, but that's a big lie, and he summons his dragon during the night. The dragon is still rebellious, and Seika struggles to control it. Yuuki suggests that Seika give up on saving the girl if he wants to have a good life in this world. She believes that if he tries to save her, he'll face the most powerful people in this empire directly, and the story of his last life could repeat itself. However, Seika is furious because he still sees Amy as one of his beloved disciples, and he doesn't want her to get hurt. He declares that he will not leave any witnesses so that no one will know how powerful he is. Yuuki is terrified by his rage and decides to stop talking, as she knows she cannot change his mind. He climbs onto the dragon and orders it to fly towards Amy immediately. Meanwhile, Amy is in prison, where she wonders what will happen to her now. She misses her friends and believes she will never be able to see them again. As Amy cries remembering her friends, someone pays her a visit. In the meantime, Seika arrives at the city where she is being held captive. He scatters her paper dolls and turns them into mice to gather information. Soon, Seika discovers Amy's location and enters the castle through the air. He returns the dragon to the parallel dimension, and a guard sees him. The guard whistles to alert all the soldiers in the area. They were expecting an attack like this, and they quickly get information. The archers fire arrows at Seika, and he uses the magnetic storm to deflect them all. The guards are too persistent, so he summons two giant boulders to crush their firing points immediately. He breaks through the doors and enters the castle's interior, where more guards are waiting for him. They ask him to identify himself and explain why he is attacking them, but Seika simply tells them to stay away if they want to live. The guards become enraged and fire arrows at him, forcing him to dodge and hide. He is innovative in his tactics, and uses his white flame spell to turn them to ash in an instant, a great way to settle things. After that, Seika summons his scythe, which cuts through the soldiers in an instant. The remaining soldiers are afraid of him now, but they still attack Seika in desperation. He burns them with blue flames, and then leaves a small friend of his free to finish off the soldiers as he pleases. And after wreaking havoc inside the castle for a few minutes, Seika makes his way to Amy's cell. She is shocked to see him, and Seika destroys the prison door, while telling her that he is here to take her back. Amy is worried about him, and reminds him that his actions will have serious consequences for him and his family. Seika reminds her that her life is in danger, but she tells him that she will be fine and that they will release her soon. She tells him to return to the academy and wait for him at school, but Seika says that will not be possible. He tells Amy that she is the heroine of the fairy tales who reincarnates to fight the Demon King every time. She states that she will be killed by those who have no power and fear those who do. Seika asks Amy to come with him so that they can escape, but then he senses someone coming towards them and attacks them with a fireball. The intruder deflects the fireball, and Seika is surprised to learn that he is facing his brother. Seika asks if he wants to duel now, but Fiona appears and says that there is no need for that. Seika is not surprised to see her and thinks that she must have seen this moment in advance. He wants to know exactly what is happening, otherwise he will attack her too. Fiona responds that she only wants to talk to him because she knows how powerful he is. She claims that she will answer all his questions to show her good faith, as she wants him to accept her offer after that. Seika asks her why they are planning to kill Amy, when she is the hero, and Fiona begins to talk about the history of the first hero. When humans and demons fought for the first time, they did not know how to deal with opponents much stronger than themselves. However, when the powerful heroine arrived, she changed the course of the battle single-handedly. She says that back then, the hero was a symbol of peace, just as the demon lord was a symbol of destruction. However, in the present time, the human and demon armies are strong enough to fight for their people, and the hero and the demon lord are relics of the past. Seika says that this is no reason to kill Amy, and Fiona responds that even the existence of the great hero could start a war against the demon. She states that no one wants war now, not even the demons, and that is why they were sending assassins after the hero, not to win the war, but to prevent it. Fiona declares that Amy will never become as strong as the previous heroes, because Seika is with her, and a hero must overcome hardships to become stronger. But since Seika can save his friends from everything, Amy will not be able to become strong. Fiona knows that Seika is helping because he needs the hero's strength, and tells him that protecting her will not help his plan. Seika asks her if she wants him to let her friend die, so that the world can have peace, and Fiona says she doesn't want that. She promises that she is on the Academy's side and that she is doing everything she can to free Amy, but she needs Seika to leave for that to happen. She assures him that she will do everything in her power to keep her safe, and will even make it seem like Seika wasn't here, so that he won't be arrested. Seika scoffs at her, saying that he can't be arrested. No one can arrest him. But then Fiona reminds him of the bet they made about the chess game. He is at a loss and fights when Amy tells him to listen to the princess, but Seika tells her to shut up. He tells Fiona that he has no reason to trust her, and she now seems hurt. She gives up and tells Seika to take Amy and run, and even orders Greg to disband the guards. Fiona takes Seika and Amy to a carriage she had prepared for them, and as a precaution she asks them to leave for a free city, one that is not under the control of any country, because she has already made arrangements for their stay there. Seika accepts her help, and before they leave, Amy returns the blanket to Fiona, thanking her for her help. She tells Seika that when she was in prison, Fiona and Greg came to meet her, and assured her that she would be released soon. They say goodbye to each other, and Seika regrets his actions a little. He tells Fiona that he is sorry for not being able to honor his promise to listen to her request, and now he wants to make up for it by doing something else. He goes to the area where he just fought the soldiers, and summons all of his paper dolls that he was hiding in the parallel dimension. The paper dolls cover the sky, and create a barrier around the fortress. Amy and Fiona can't believe their eyes, and then Seika's spell is completed, bringing all the soldiers back to life, and even restoring the damage he caused to the castle. Fiona is shocked to see this, and scolds Seika for making her job even harder. She initially planned to blame everything on a powerful monster, but she can't help it now that Seika has brought her soldiers back to life. Fiona says that she couldn't stop him even if she wanted to, then bids him farewell, and says that they will surely meet again someday. Seika and Amy climb into the carriage, and she asks him to explain what just happened. She bombards Seika with questions, but he isn't even listening because he is thinking about how to drive a carriage. Fiona looks at him from the castle, and a demon hiding in his shadow suddenly starts talking to her. He asks about Seika's true identity, because he is the strongest person he has ever seen. And Fiona says that Seika is the lord of the demon, and the shadow demon doesn't understand why the king of the demons would try to protect the great hero. Fiona smiles as she says that it's because of his kind personality. She knows that in the end Seika will have no choice but to use his powers to help others, even if destruction awaits him at the end of it. With that, Seika and Amy set off on their journey to the free city. They know that they can't show their faces at the academy, because they are now wanted criminals. All they want to know now is how to get in touch with Aoife and Mabel. But Amy says that they can worry about that later, and now that they can't go back to the academy, they can start their adventures sooner. However, Fiona informs Aoife and Mabel that Seika and Amy have escaped safely, and the girls are very happy to hear that. When Seika and Amy arrive at the free city, they meet Mabel and Aoife, who have left the academy to stay with them. And as Aoife jumps to hug Seika, he realizes that the second phase of his life is just beginning. Thus ends the anime Seikaiou Amiauji Isekai Tenseki. Awesome anime, I really liked it. I'm waiting for the second season. Anyway, a big kiss to everyone. Bye, and until the next video, bye.